Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, yeah, the NCAA wants out. They are sick and tired of being sued, and they're ready.
Get me out of here! Here, just eat that! Leave us alone!
Also, a fifth year for athletes. Is that coming down the road? We've got a lawsuit by Zig Ziglar. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And also, there are other lawsuits out there pertaining to fifth year. And of course, you know about Diego Pavia. We'll discuss that as well. But first, let's take a look at Zig Ziglar and what he's up to.
The point guard Ncaa ZEIGLAR is suing the NCAA, hoping to play in the upcoming season. He is challenging the rule which gives players 5 years of eligibility under most circumstances. ZEIGLAR's attorneys argue that with name, image, and likeness money in college athletics, the 5-year window breaks federal and state antitrust laws. Those laws have been key in the fight between the school and the NCAA. We'll be watching to see what the court decides, and be sure to keep you updated on this. A lot of people talking about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, Zeke is trying to get a fifth year. Now, his argument is he did not redshirt during any of his 4 years. So he didn't get to take advantage of the fifth year that pretty much everybody else would that either got a red shirt, medical red shirt, or even during the virus year that nobody counted. Now, this is kind of a unique argument. It's not the same as Diego Pavia's. His was, hey, yeah, I played my full 4 or 5 years, but it was at a junior college for part of it, so that's why he got an injunction on his.
I'll slap an injunction on them so fast it'll make their head spin.
It hadn't actually been decided, but it looks like he'll probably win that because they're not counting junior college years towards your NCAA years. Zeke is going at it from a different angle. Now, the big thing he wants is obviously in that fifth year, that's your best NIL money, and that's typical for any of the athletes. The lawsuit argues that Ziglar could earn between $2 and $4 million in a fifth year based on his record of success. And those figures are from Spire Sports Group, and it talks about Diego Pavia claiming that, that he was at New Mexico Military Institute, which is a junior college, and he was granted an injunction. Now, I agree Zeke would be worth a lot of money. He is a terrific player, scored a lot of points every game, was clutch under pressure, and was the best ball handler, best defender, especially for his size. And that's actually one of the reasons why he wants to play more college ball, because he can make way more money playing college than he would as a pro because of his height. You know, it's in the NBA, if you're 5'9", the odds of you making it are not good. Whereas in college, you absolutely can. Now, one thing to remember for the Tennessee Vols fans, Tennessee has already brought in Jacoby Gillespie out of Maryland, and he's actually from my hometown of Greenville, Tennessee, and he would pretty much be playing Zakai's position, which is point guard, and he's a terrific player. They also brought in Nate Ament, who we're hearing close to $4 million. My question is, even if Ziglar is able to come back, would he be a Tennessee Vol? I'm not confident of that because I don't know that Tennessee has the money to pay him. He may have to go out and play somewhere else. So for the Tennessee Vols fans are like, yeah, I hope he gets that fifth year. He may be playing for some, well, I'm still, if he does get it, you know, I wish him the absolute best. And I think all the Vols fans would because he's a very popular dude. He's been a great basketball player for us. So, you know, if we don't have the money for him, he obviously needs to go get it somewhere else if he gets this injunction. And if he does get this, it will impact everything, just the way Diego Pavia's has. His injunction will affect anybody that's played at a junior college. Now, those years won't count towards your eligibility. So this is a big decision coming in this lawsuit. There's also a Rutgers player that's also trying to get a fifth year. That is a similar lawsuit up in New Jersey, and that one may come down the path a little bit sooner. Now let's talk about Charlie Baker. He declares he's not in charge of NIL anymore. What they're trying to do, the NCAA, is shift all the responsibility onto conferences with the House versus NCAA settlement. And needless to say, Charlie Baker and the NCAA, they're tired of getting whooped in every courthouse in the land. They've lost virtually every lawsuit, and they're just like trying to get out of that mess as quickly as they possibly can.
I got some more for you to get up. I got a lot of more. I got a lot of more. Come on. There we go again. Cover coming in.
Yeah, he's definitely sick and tired of taking the beatings. And Charlie Baker divulged that college athletics' top governing body will not be governing NIL if the House settlement passes. He said ACC, Big Ten, Big 12, and SEC would have oversight of implementing the rules of the long-awaited settlement. If the measure is granted final approval in the coming days or weeks, and here it talks about the settlement, which is $2.8 billion. Remember that $500 million of that is going to go to attorney's fees.
You think that'd be enough?
So when you see attorneys and people out there talking about how important it is to get this passed, they're going to make $500 million. That's who's making the money on this. So don't get it twisted. The players are going to be fighting over 20.5 out of all of the teams in college, whether it's football, basketball, whatever. And the attorneys are going to make $500 million.
Give me the money. Give me the money.
Also, the future vetting of NIL deals, which is where all the lawsuits are going to pop up on, would include a third party called Deloitte, which would be in charge of determining fair market value of NIL deals in excess of $600. And I talked to you about this yesterday, that Deloitte has already come out and said that the vast majority of the collectives deals that they got for athletes over the last year or two would not have been allowed under their standards. And those were all the big ones. They would have allowed all the little tiny ones that were maybe $5,000, $3,000, whatever. But any of the big time money sponsorships that were through the collectives, all of that would have been wiped away, which is where all the lawsuits are going to stem from.
Believe that.
Now, a lot of this is going on during the Power Conference's spring meetings. And what the conferences are trying to create is this College Sports Commission. We talked about that the other day. And they would be in charge of this cap management system and all the NIL system as well. And they would have rules associated with both. So the College Sports Commission is what the NCAA wants to get sued instead of them, I guess. And it says, in layman's terms, it's a step from college athletics' latest emerging power structure to lend some semblance of guardrails and oversight in the upcoming revenue-sharing era. They want to slow down or thwart what essentially is pay for play. So they're going to have a salary cap. Now, we've talked a lot about this. A unilateral salary cap, even if it's included in this class action lawsuit, does not guarantee that it's not going to get struck down in court. As a matter of fact, it almost certainly will. In my opinion, not an attorney, but I've followed this stuff closely. Anything that is some kind of a false cap that has not been negotiated with the current players, which would be collective bargaining, I don't see any way it passes through the courts. Just my opinion, and I'm right about that.
How's bragging camp going?
And they're trying to find a CEO for this commission, and that's a job that will pay well, but you would not want unless you really needed the money, because you're going to be the villain in almost everything. You're going to be the guy that's named in all the lawsuits. Well, your commission will, and you'll be the head of it. That's what Charlie Baker's trying to get away from. He's tired of being the piñata that keeps getting hit all the time. I mean, to say that they've taken a whooping in the courts would be an understatement. It has been awful. And Baker's just like, look, sue this guy, sue this commission. We don't want any part of it.
What happened?
She knocked out.
What wrong?
Now we get into something that's very interesting. We've talked a lot about this, and this could be the thing that allegedly or technically could get Tennessee kicked out of the SEC.
Oh, hell no!
And there's some people down in Alabama land that would love that. And it has to do with state laws. Tennessee passed a state law because they believe that this House settlement is not going to stand in court. They believe that it violates the antitrust laws that are out there, which is the Sherman Act, the biggest one, and that it'll get struck down. And they don't want to get sued. So Tennessee wrote a law that allows them to continue to use NIL through their collective, same as they always have, along with the revenue sharing. And here it says, without federal regulations or oversight, state laws continue to take center stage, such as Tennessee's Danny White, the school's fourth-year athletic director, indicating the Vols would adhere to the state regulations and not the more stringent cap of $20.5 million proposed by the House settlement. The state of Tennessee, and certainly the university, believes that this is going to violate the Sherman Act and be a problem, so they would rather follow the state laws that they think will keep them out of a lawsuit. And since we've been talking a lot about the Sherman Act, let's discuss it a little bit here. It says, the Sherman Act's application to the NCAA has been a key focus in recent battles pertaining to athletes' compensation eligibility. The Supreme Court's ruling in NCAA versus Alston and ongoing litigation have significantly impacted the NCAA rules and practices. And this is the case I'm always talking about, where they ruled 9-0. They ruled that the NCAA's restrictions on educated-related benefits for student athletes violate the Sherman Act, which prohibits restraints on trade, and this ruling paved the way for, obviously, the deal they're working on now. Now, there are two ways of doing this. You can either get an antitrust exemption through the Congress, which is going to be darn near impossible, or you can do collective bargaining with the current athletes. The House versus NCAA does not do that in any way. And that's why I don't think it's going to stand up in court. And it talks about here, despite the changes that are being made, lawsuits continue to challenge the NCAA rules, particularly regarding eligibility and restrictions on compensation. And when you have a salary cap that's unilateral, that's going to get struck down, I think. And also all these eligibility issues, whether you can play for 5 years, I mean, all of these things are going to be challenged all the way through. Now, there has been a draft that's been going around to all the conferences that would require universities to sign and say that they are going to follow these rules stringently, the 20.5 million. And Tennessee's law actually states that they can't agree to something along those lines that goes against state law. So the University of Tennessee is in a unique situation. They're not allowed to sign it, but if they don't sign it, they could get in major trouble. There's even talk of removing them from the SEC. Now, this draft has not become formalized. I don't know that it will, because it's going to get challenged. Almost certainly, they're basically inviting a lawsuit if they put this out there. And the conferences and the NCAA are in a really difficult spot. They've lost every suit in court, just about. The NCAA is trying to get out of the way. They're trying to put all the onus on the conferences. The conferences are, in my opinion, foolishly going to probably fall for that, or they might fall for that. And then all of a sudden, they're going to get sued up the yin-yang, which means Greg Sankey, Petiti, all these guys, they're going to become the face of all these lawsuits. And Charlie Baker's like, more power to you guys. Y'all be the face of that. I don't want any more part of this. And I can't blame Charlie Baker at all for that. He's sick and tired of getting bullied. So we'll be watching this closely and see how this goes over the next week or two. This draft, seeing if this gets formalized and forcing universities to sign, is going to be incredibly interesting. I almost cannot believe how much is going on in this offseason. It's shocking, really. And it's going to continue on for the next 12, 24, 36 months as we change the playoff, for example. We're going to go from 12 to 16. The championship weekends we're going to have for each conference are going to change. It's going to be dramatic all the time. So we might as well get used to it and look for, man, I really don't know what's going to happen here. This almost looks like a train wreck getting ready to happen, and I can't turn away. Anyway, if you want to watch this train wreck with me, just hit this little button right here. It's a subscribe button. Doesn't cost you a dime. Help you get all my videos. I didn't say boom, boom, boom this time. And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we will see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.